class of 2010 makes its way through the Ford Center this weekend. Hi, I'm Mike Sherman, and this is the NBA and OKC with Mike Baldwin. Mike, here they come. Chris Bosh for the Toronto Raptors on Friday night, and LeBron James of the Cleveland Cavaliers on Sunday. These guys are the headliners of the free agent class of 2010. That's going to be talked about for 2 more years now. And can Oklahoma City fans can look and dream and say, hey, maybe one of these guys would wind up under our Christmas tree someday. First, talk about Chris Bosh.
Well, he's a 6'10" lefty. I think part of the reason why he's not getting the attention a lot of the other stars in the league is he plays in Toronto. They're very rarely on TV. But yet he's one of those guys that's growing and growing. Is he quite in the class of some of these other MVP candidates? Some people are trying to throw his name in the mix. I don't think he's quite there with Dwight Howard and the other 4 or 5, or the Kobes and the LeBrons and the Dwayne Wades and all them. But he's awful close. He's one of the top 10 players in the league. He's just a slinky lefty that can post up. He's got a little bit of an outside game. And lefties sometimes can be a hard matchup, which he is. And him being on the Olympic team, don't forget, he led the Olympic team in rebounds with 6 a game. People forget that. All those other guys got the attention. Wade played well. Chris Paul played well. Kobe and LeBron, some of those guys played well. But Chris Bosh led the Olympic team in Beijing in rebounds. That in itself shows you he's a pretty good player.
A team that had Dwight Howard on the roster.
Yes.
Also, getting LeBron James, that's a pipe dream, okay?
Well, any of those 4 now, let's stop right there. Because Amari Stoudemire, Chris Bosh, Dwayne Wade, and LeBron. Those are the 4 that everybody's like, whoa. What makes this interesting, and we're documenting it in Friday's paper, there's like 20 guys on the list. If you want to go, there's some McGrady's and Rip Hamiltons out there. There's some other players on their way up. There's some Joe Johnsons out there. What we'll do is the Pistons and Knicks and some of those teams will throw money at the big-name guys. So, yeah, you can't dream and think that a Wade or a LeBron will be in Oklahoma City, but what it could do is the old trickle-down effect. But the other part of this whole factor is, so everybody's talking about 2010, Sam Presti's clearing cap space. All these other general managers clearing cap space.
Everybody.
But the problem is the team that has them right now can offer them more. A lot of them will stay with the teams, including Bosh may stay in Toronto, because Toronto can offer him $30 million more than anybody else can. So do they dream? Could they get 1 or 2 guys off that list? And Allen Iverson's going to maybe be on that list some point. There's other big names. Dirk Nowitzki could be on that list. Those are the kind of factors that at least makes it fun. That is the year everybody's pointing to. I don't think Oklahoma City can get one of the stars, but they may get one of the second-tier guys, and that'd be enough to get you over the hump and start getting to become a playoff team.
By the way, Chris Bosh is from Texas, and a few insiders with
Dallas
the Thunder,
Lincoln.
They've thrown that out. Maybe there's a geographic pull. Okay, now on to LeBron James. Probably, in some ways, the premier fan attraction of the season, because LeBron is a cultural phenomenon.
What, the chalk?
All of it, all of it. But here's what's interesting. He's coming to the Ford Center on Sunday, and in Sunday's paper, Darnell Mayberry's going to have an exploration of the question, should he stay or should he go? You addressed the critical question is that Cleveland can offer him more money.
Right.
So it's hometown and more money, or New York bright lights and more fame. Which do you think he'll choose?
Well, Charles Barkley says he should stay for all the reasons you alluded to. You're a guy that grew up in Ohio. You're beloved there. You'll be one of the greatest stars Cleveland's ever had, going all the way back in time in baseball, football, you name the sport. I mean, Jim Brown, you will be one of the legends of all time there. But, I mean, he's one of those guys that he's going to be lured. I predict he probably will leave. Doesn't mean he definitely won't stay, because he'll get $30 more million, an extra year on his contract, and it is hometown. It's just the way he's been acting lately. He acts like a guy that wants the limelight a little more, and he wants to be sitting there next to Spike Lee or somebody else on game days and joking it up, and it'll help the title sponsors. I hope he stays. I'm with Charles. I would like to see athletes spend 10, 15, 20 years in one city instead of free agents and traded all the time. I mean, I'm a big George Brett fan. Remember his whole career there? We don't see much of that in any sports anymore. I'd like to see him stay, but I predict he goes.
Okay, another trend going hot and heavy in the NBA is the firing of coaches. It happened again this week. So now they've fired coaches in Oklahoma City, in Minnesota. Tell me if I've missed any. Toronto.
You got 3 more to go.
3 more to go. They fired coaches in Washington.
Mm-hmm.
What's the next 2?
Now we're doing the old test here, but they have. We'll get back to that in a minute as we're thinking about it.
Okay, that's what I'm saying.
That's how bad it's getting. The record was 3 before Christmas. The record was 3, and now it's twice that 6. Charles Barkley.
Philadelphia.
Philadelphia got one of them. We'll come up to the other one here in a minute. It wasn't Sacramento, was it, with Reggie Theus?
Sacramento.
Is that the sixth one? Ding, 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 we got a winner. But
it's hard. That's the point.
And there may be a few more out there that's a little bit. Memphis was on the bubble before they won 4 games in a row. And so, I mean, Charles Barkley's point in a Q&A that's going to run in Sunday's paper, I think is valid, is he says general managers are trying to appease fans for a lot of these teams had low expectations. Now, Philadelphia and Toronto were in the playoffs last year. They are a little bit justified getting off slow starts. The other 4, no, those teams we knew they were going to be bad. And so just because
including Oklahoma City.
Right. And so if the team wasn't playing hard enough, it's harder to sell tickets in some of the markets like Sacramento. They used to fill up that arena with cowbells. Now they're down at the bottom. So there's a lot of reasons why general managers do it. But Barkley says it's because GMs are not putting in good enough players for the coaches to win with. And so it's a good topic, and it's the hottest topic without question the first 2 months of the season.
Well, the interesting thing about that is if it's not working, it's not working. I mean, that's, and the fans will tell you that. The way the team plays on the court will tell you that. And I would argue, as someone who's seen the Sacramento play a bunch, who saw Oklahoma City play, it was clear those things were not working. The 76ers, they didn't look anything like the team that played last year, and they were trying to stir in Elton Brand.
Who's now hurt. He got hurt Wednesday night, dislocated shoulder.
From bad to worse.
I think they're getting their act together. But the one point on all these coaching changes is you've got Avery Johnson, Van Gundy, a bunch of big-name guys out there. Not one of them has been out there and said, will you come help fix our problem? They've all gone with the interim coaches. So what all these franchises are saying is you've got a 4-month trial to become our next head coach. If not, I've got a big sack full of proven guys out here that I can go get in April and May. That's going to be the interesting variable. If you had 1 or 2 more names to this into the next 7 or 8 weeks, I mean, you're going to have 8 job openings, depending on how many of these interim guys actually get it turned around and keep their jobs. But, I mean, if you're Avery Johnson, Flip Saunders, Van Gundy.
Already tagged for Philadelphia.
I'm saying some of these guys, can you imagine? The bidding price may go up a little bit. You're like Keller in the NFL. A lot of people may be wanting your services, and you're like, how much you want? I mean, they'll almost be like a player. There'll be so many teams wanting their services.
On to the next topic. It's almost Christmas, which for the NBA is a big deal. The Christmas is to the NBA what Thanksgiving is to the NFL. And Mike Baldwin's got a big exploration of that in the Sunday paper. Mike, what's the NBA doing playing all these games on Christmas?
Well, that's the weird part about this is the Knicks, I want to say, played 47 Christmas Day games. It used to be a tradition in the 40s, 50s, and 60s. You played Madison Square Garden, you had a Christmas Day game. That was before TV came along. So then TV gets involved, and then all of a sudden they get political correctness, and they go, this is bad to play on Christmas Day. They had about a decade that the only thing on was the blue-gray all-star college football game, and NBC and some of the NBA executives in about 1990 said, what are we doing here? There's a captive audience out there, no sports doing it, so they start scheduling double headers. Well, now we're in the age of talk radio. There's no such thing as saturation. Put it on and people will watch it. I mean, every market has 3 or 4 talk radio sports stations now. This year there's 5 NBA games on national TV on Christmas Day. So we've gone from used to play, everybody, a lot of teams played on Christmas Day, to no, now we're not playing, and then TV saying we want them. That it's unique. I'm wondering if it'll even stretch along 5, because everybody wants their piece of the pie. This year it's 2 ABC, makes their debut like NBC used to. Big doubleheader, we're kicking off our yearly coverage, remember, on Christmas Day. That's what ABC's doing. Well, TNT and ESPN, they've been carrying them all year long. They just want part of the pie too. Well, you've got other people that are showing these games. I'm wondering if it could get to the point where half the league's playing on Christmas Day. Right now they're still trying to make it a marquee event, but the fact they went to 5 games this year shows you that they may stretch it out further.
Quick question, will Oklahoma City, one of the few places where they pray before NBA games, ever be home to a Christmas Day game?
Well, I'm putting a little note in Sunday's paper. You know you've arrived and you're a legit playoff contender if they put you on Christmas Day. That's when the Oklahoma City fans will know that this team is getting good, is when some TV executive says, hey, we want Kevin Durant, Jeff Green, and the Thunder on TV because they're starting to become a playoff-type looking team. So that's just like one of the quotes Dwayne Wade I'm using is, he says, growing up, that's what you want. And if you weren't on Christmas Day, you want to be playing on Christmas Day. It's almost a feather in your cap. Even though the 5 games takes a little bit away from that, it still goes to the better players and the better teams to get to play on Christmas Day.
Thanks, Mike. That's all for the NBA and OKC. Stay with the best coverage team anywhere, every day on newsok.com and in the new book, Oklahoma.